So Dan, Ariely, we are so happy to interview you here at the wonderful house of Andres Roemer. And
we have to admit that we both drank a little bit too much.
Yes,
so everything we say now should be taken with under the understanding that we drank a little bit too much.
I know. So how irrational is love, Dan?
How irrational is love? Love is perfectly irrational and perfectly reasonable. And here's the thing. There are lots of definitions of irrationality. And the most standard definition has to do with standard economic theory. That preferences are, we have full preferences and we have transitive preferences and we don't have emotions and we can compute everything and we always work in our long-term best interest. That's the standard definition of rationality from an economics perspective. And from that perspective, love is incredibly irrational. Love is not about thinking about long-term. It's not about thinking about all possible combination. Love is about being all-consumed. It's about, it may be one of those cases where emotion completely takes over. You know, the way emotions are designed in general is to take over. Like, imagine you're an animal in the jungle and you see a tiger. What does emotion want you to do? To think? No. To open an Excel spreadsheet and calculate what you should be doing? Of course not. Emotion wants you to start running. Emotions are supposed to take over and get you to do something. And love is like that. Love takes over. It takes over our rational thought. It takes over our consideration for the long term. It takes over what we know we should be doing and redirecting our effort into another way. And from that perspective, love is perfectly irrational. At the same time, love is the essence of life. It is very hard to think about wanting to live life in a rational world. Like, think about Mr. Spock on Star Trek. Somebody who has no emotions and doesn't experience love. That's certainly a life not worth living. So, economists have it wrong. The definition of irrationality, it doesn't include all of those things. So yes, love is irrational, but does it mean that we don't want it? No, we actually want it in our life very much. It's the essence of love. It's the essence of life. We want as much of it as we can get. But we need to recognize that it also has the chances to derail our lives, and we have to think about when we want it to derail our lives and when we want to try and keep it in check.
How did you meet your wife?
How did I meet my wife? So we were both in grad school, and we have different stories about how we met. When she was teaching a class, and she had a video that didn't work well. Like the cassette did not. She was trying to show the students a video, and it didn't work. And she came to my office and said, "Can you help me?" Up to that point, we agree. And then I went to help her, and it turns out it was beta, it was VHS, there was some confusion in what the system was, and she went to get a different cassette. And this where the stories diverge. She went for 10 minutes, and I decided at the same time to start teaching the students something else. This was a class on developmental psychology. I know very little about developmental psychology, so I decided to teach them about Yuval and Wiesel, the Nobel Prize winners, and to teach them about Chomsky. And my wife, Sumi, came back 15 minutes later, and she says, my recollection is the students were disappointed that she was coming, that they had such a good lecture, they were disappointed. She said they were relieved when she came. And after that, we went for dinner and fell in love, and life continued from there.
Wonderful. How irrational is it to be an Israeli?
So, you're getting born to be an Israeli, but if you ask about Israelis and irrationality, one of the things I love about being an Israeli is that I think we have friendship is very important to us. If you think about this idea that you jump on a hand grenade or you don't leave a friend in the battlefield, loyalty is very important. And I've been outside of Israel for a while, and I've been, living in the US for quite a long time. I don't have as good friends as my Israeli friends anywhere. My best friends are still mostly from elementary school and middle school. I'm 50, right? It's been a while ago. And in some degree, friendship is irrational, right? A standard economist will never tell you to jump on a hand grenade or to sacrifice yourself for a friend. But, one of my friends is having a hard time today. There's something happening in their lives, and we talked last night, and we'll talk tomorrow, and I hope it will work out well. And friendship is a little bit like love. It's one of those things that is irrational from the economic perspective, but it's the essence of life in another perspective. And I feel tremendous pride and belonging with a country that value friendship so much, that I know, like, if I got arrested tomorrow and I had to call friends to come and bail me out of prison, most of the people that would show up would be my friends from Israel, right? Which tells you something. So I think, yes, it's irrational, but it's also wonderful. Another thing I'll tell you is that there is an amazing thing about being Jewish. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was in Bogota on Yom Kippur, and I went to synagogue. And the thing about being Jewish is that when you find other Jewish people or you go to synagogue, there's an immediate connection. There's an immediate sense of trust that is so important. You meet people randomly and you say, how much can you trust that person? You just don't know. But somehow the connection about being Jewish creates the sense that we can trust each other, and the discussion immediately starts in a better way. So I can't tell you how many times I was in a city, I didn't know anybody, I went to synagogue, I met some nice people, went with them for dinner, and things continued from there. So there's something very magical about being Jewish, and there's something very magical about being Israeli. And even though lots of people hate us. The things that have to do with self-control, texting and driving, don't sleeping enough, overeating, under-exercising, all of those things are things that are incredibly irrational. These are things that kill us, but also they are incredibly standard. Everybody does this. And of course, it doesn't make it right, but it just makes it human. And it is human. It is human to be fallible.
Why did you start to working with irrational things?
So I started thinking about irrational behavior when I was in the hospital. I was badly burned. The reason I have half a beard is not because I'm trying to have half a beard. It's because this side has hair and this side I have scars. And hospital actually taught me a lot about irrationality. I learned about placebos. I learned about that if you give people an injection with nothing, but they think it's a pain medication, they will feel better about it. I had long debates with the nurses about how to remove bandages from burn patients. So I actually, my introduction was being a patient. And by the way, patients, it's a terrible thing to being a patient in hospital. It's a terrible thing. It's about helplessness and no control. I remember they coming at 5 o'clock in the morning to take my blood. And because I didn't have any veins, they could only take it from my groin. Imagine being woken up every day with, a stab in your groin. So lots of things really upset me at that time that I thought were just not done the right way. And that was kind of my introduction. I wasn't really thinking about science. I was thinking about social engineering. I was thinking about how do I take something like terrible like the hospital and make it better. And actually a lot of what I've done since is to think about all kinds of environments that are not that great and think about how to make them better.
Besides asking your girlfriend to marry, when did you use your knowledge to influence things or people?
I use my knowledge all the time. I'll give you one example. So I have a research center at Duke University, and I was thinking what gift to give people for the end of the year. I have about 45 people working in the research center, and I was thinking what's the right gift to give them. And lots of people give bonuses, right? Now we're a university, we can't give big bonuses. But I thought, bonuses are backward looking. You're saying, I'm going to pay you backward. And I'm not interested in paying people backward. I want to pay people forward. And then I said, I also want people to realize that I care about them as people, not just as workers. And then I also said, and I want the gift to keep on giving. I don't want the gift to be just one time and they'll forget about it. So what I did was I asked people, I said, think about what you want to learn. Something that you want to learn anywhere in the world. Something that will take up to 10 days. Write me a paragraph about what you want to learn, where in the world you want to learn it, and I'll pay for you to go to that place. Now, this was my gift to people. But think about what it does, right? I mean, I could have given people $3,000, but I've given them something that got them to realize I care about them, which I do, got them to do something that they wouldn't do otherwise. And people went to study meditation, they went to look at rituals, people went to learn how to write in Paris, people went how to do cartoons in other places. I mean, people came up with lots of wonderful things. And not only that, people kept on going the whole year. And every time somebody went, they talked about going and they reminded everybody about this, and they came back and they shared their stories. And it ended up being a tremendous gift. Now, this is the thing. Almost everything we do, whether it's giving people a gift or giving people a bonus or saying thank you to people, any one of those things could become better if we understand social science, right? So you could say, let's give bonus, it's just money. No, it's not just money. There are better ways to do it and there are worse ways to do it. So, and almost everything I do, I try to think about what's the best way to achieve it. And I try to think a little bit better from the social science perspective. So if I want to give the people who work with me a gift, I think about what is the gift trying to do? What is the goal of that gift? What am I trying to convey? And therefore, what kind of gift would convey that? And it's not just true for that, it's true for everything. Everything we do, we have a goal. We want to show people that we care about them. We want to have an impact on the world. Whatever it is, there are better ways and worse ways to do it. And if you understand social science, you can think about how to get more value out of your effort. Be more likely to achieve your goal.
And what is the most irrational question you were asked?
So I was asked some irrational question that I will not repeat here. But but I'll tell you what. I think that we know a lot about how to improve things. Okay, let me take a step back. In some sense, behavioral economics is very depressing. You look at people and you say we're myopic, we're vindictive, we don't know what we want, we're easily confused, we're emotional, and so on. And from that perspective, it's a little bit sad. It's a little bit sad to look at people and realize we're irrational and fallible and so on. The other side of the coin is that you say, look at the world. We're 8 billion people. Is this the outcome of 8 billion rational people? That would be very sad. We mean that this is the best we can do. The behavioral economics perspective, which says that this is 8 billion irrational people, means that there's lots we can do to improve things. So I really like this idea that we can improve things. Now, the thing that really both upsets me and motivates me is that most of the bad things in the world are man-made. We have tsunamis from time to time, we have storms from time to time, but if you think about the real terrible things in the world, it's things that we create for ourselves. It's how we waste our time and energy, and how we waste our health and money, and of course hate. And I basically, like, we have this tremendous potential. And nevertheless, we don't live up to our potential. We are really sub-performers in that regard. The amount of human waste, the amount of potential. And from all of those things, time, money, health, energy, the thing that I am the most helpless about and hopeless about is hate. I know how to help people manage their time better and manage their health better and manage their money better and even energy. I think we could do some things, but hate is the one thing that I just don't know how to improve. I feel very helpless. It's a tremendous force. It's a tremendous force for bad. It's causing a tremendous amount of misery in the world, and I don't yet know how we can fight it effectively. The thing I would most like to do is to figure out how to fight hate, but I don't know how to do it yet. I don't know how to do it, and I don't know if I'll even have an answer yet. With everything else, I make progress. With that one, not yet.
Because you come from a country that really have experienced hate. And
it
are
is
you
true.
optimistic?
I mean, as a Jewish person in Israel, I see also hate, but also I live in the U.S. now. The amount of and you look at the world. The world there's the amount of hate everywhere is so tremendous. As Jews, of course, we experience it in a very powerful way, in a way that also is kind of reminiscent of the Holocaust and Second World War. But the amount of hate in the world seems to me to be very large, daunting, and increasing.
Thank you, Dan.